يا لغتي عربية حسبي بأنك منطقي وبياني عربية قلبي.
It doesn't talk about the thousands of people, it says many people. So here's the thing, historians didn't write about it. Historians wrote about the death of Jesus on the cross by crucifixion. How come Quran failed to know that? Why did you care about that much about the death of, why didn't you care that much about death of Jesus on the cross? But suddenly, because it says many people and some people raised from the dead, you care about that. So I would love you to just make a quick point regarding how come that wonderful Quran word of Allah failed to know the historical fact regarding the death of Jesus. So Surah 9 verse 128 and 129. According to Sahih Bukhari, he says,
no, just hammer her on the phone.
as I start looking for the Quran and collecting it. So, according to Sahih Bukhari, Quran was not accessible to people. He had to look for it. He had to search for it. Palm leaf stumps, thin white stones, and also from the man who knew by heart. Until I find the last verse of Surah Taba, and I did not find with it anyone other than him. Anyone other than him. And Surah 9 verse 128 and 129, not exactly the same in the Quran we are reading today. Yes, I saw that. So I think it would be helpful if you just... Yeah, you're commenting. That's
Yeah, you didn't answer anything.
Ready? Okay. First of all, my question wasn't answered. Let me get to the point about, the historical record of the death and crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus. Now, she only tells half the story. The Quran does not just say Jesus did not die and he was not crucified and so on and so forth. There's something else that it says. Can anybody tell me what it is? وَلَكِنْ شُبِّهَ لَهُمْ. In other words, it was made to appear so. Now, the words are pretty ambiguous, but no matter in which way you take them, my question is this. Let us assume for argument's sake that this is true, okay? That Jesus was not killed, he was not crucified, but it was made to appear to them so. Now, assuming this is correct, what would the historical record say? What would contemporary writers, contemporary witnesses have said?
The same thing. Jesus
The exact same thing that they say right now, that Jesus died on the cross. Okay, so her point is not valid at all. It is a moot point. And secondly, going back to, let's go back again. I'm going to hammer this point in again. Okay, let's forget the thousands. I'm not sure what the Greek word is for many over there. If it's poly or myriados, I don't know what it is. If somebody has a Greek Bible, maybe they can tell me. I don't have mine with me right now. But we're clearly talking about many, many people who rose from the dead. And I'd like you to imagine a parallel situation here in London. You have people who have died. People have risen from a cemetery, and they're walking around here in Hyde Park in broad daylight. Would you not expect somebody to have written about this? Yes or no? Somebody. It is something. It's a supernatural event. We are not talking about, Her Majesty the Queen yawning over here. We're talking about something really amazing, the mightiest miracle ever recorded in the Gospel or in the Old Testament. Okay? So we need an answer for that, which hasn't been answered yet.
Of course, your question hasn't been answered because you failed to answer my questions. Let me repeat my question. I think it's been fourth time now. Okay? According to Sahih Bukhari, I did not find it with anybody other than him. Sahih Bukhari doesn't tell us, person who is narrating the hadith also knew the verse, because Zayd bin Thabit already knows he is about to commit the bidah. Zayd bin Thabit already knows he has to go and search for the Quran, because people who memorize the Quran are not accessible. It's not person who lives in number 7 and number 9 memorize the Quran. It's not like that. Zayd bin Thabit doesn't know that. He has to go and search for it. So Surah 9 verse 128 and 129 made it in the Quran only one person's testimony. And I ask you a question. why this verse is not exactly the same how it is in current Quran right now? And no answer for that. Same story is for the Surah 33 verse 23. Where are those verses? I asked you a question regarding the Surah 5 verse 6. There is no answer for that question as well. Can you please answer my questions regarding the completion of the Quran? And also, can you just tell me who was the one who put the criteria that Surah Fatiha is part of the Quran? Can you please tell me where is the Ubay bin Ka'b's Quran and what are the disagreements between Ubay bin Ka'b's Quran and Ubay bin Ibn Masud's Quran versus the Hafs Quran which you are memorizing today? Can you also please tell me what is the version of the Surah 25 which Muhammad recited? Because I cannot be sure the Hafs Quran you are reading is the version he is reciting today. Muhammad recited today. And
Okay, so the versions that she's speaking about are what we know as Ahruf. Okay, so the Arabs, they spoke in several different dialects, and some tribes use certain words for certain things which other tribes didn't. So there were more than a few recognized Ahruf, and now the Quran was revealed. There's actually an authentic tradition which says that Jibreel alayhi salam came down, and he actually revealed the Quran to the Prophet. Okay, in the different ahruf, in the different, I don't know what the correct word is in Arab, in English. It's not versions, okay? It's not versions, it's modes, in the modes of recitation. Because the Quran, you have to realize, it's not just a book, it's a recitation. So there are different modes of recitation which do not make any difference in meaning. So, this is really not, and anyway, I answered the question already before. I guess you didn't realize it. The point is that Zayd, the fact that he was actually looking for those verses, what she calls the missing verses, okay, which he couldn't find witnesses for, shows that they already existed in the community. So that's my answer to that. And well, let me ask the question again. What is the answer to the evangelist Matthew's mighty miracle that has been recorded in his gospel and finds no contemporary record in any of the secular writings of the 1st century or the 2nd century or the 3rd century? I'd like an answer for that again. And there are other historical discrepancies as well. There's a 10-year gap between the birth of Jesus as recorded in Matthew and as recorded in Luke. One evangelist says that when Jesus was born, Herod was Herod was the king, okay, because clearly Herod tried to kill Jesus. So Herod must have been alive if he tried to kill him, right? And then another gospel says that Mary, when she was pregnant, she moved to. Okay.
Show us the scripture.
so,
Show us the scripture.
Jesus
Okay.
was born -4 BC.
Oh, yeah,
so
but I'll bring that in the next
I ask
okay.
you questions and sadly you fail to agree with Sahih Bukhari. I am not sure if I should trust Sahih Bukhari, who lived approximately 250 years after everything happened, or should I trust you, who lived approximately 1,400 years after everything happened? According to Sahih Bukhari, I did not find anyone else than him. I did not find anyone else than him. You talked about it is just Aruf, they are the dialects. Yes, in Arabia they spoke 7 different dialects. Okay, I asked the question, which dialect was there? Surah 25 is given. And let me read the hadith because you said that there weren't any differences, but there were the differences. They wanted, a person wanted to grab other person from the neck. That comes from the Sahih Bukhari 514. And here's the picture. For you to see one of the earliest manuscripts you have. And it cannot be with the dialects, since it does not have the consonantal dots. Since consonantal dots are edited very, very late.
Okay.
It's not there. So I would appreciate if you give me the Surah 25 version of the Muhammad with 7 different versions.
Okay,
And
so
also
what are
I
the
would be- it's like I'm still. Also, I would appreciate the questions you haven't answered to answer those questions as well. And as you answer those questions, can you also please provide for me? For example, I've got the Quran here. Can you just provide for me what is your reasons that you do not recite this Quran, yet you recite the Hafs Quran? Since you trust the history of the Quran that well, I would love to get that history, please.
Sorry, what's the main issue?
Can we see what that Quran is?
What's your view on this question?
Can we see what that Quran is?
Can we see? Yeah, I want to see what the Quran is.
Because we came here, we don't know main issues, right?
القرآن الكريم برواية الليث بن خالد والحامش ما خالفه. Yeah.
From the beginning, Surah Al-Fatiha.
So what is the difference between this Quran and the Quran that we read? According
Is there
to
any extra ayah missing or
Is there a difference? Yeah, is there an extra ayah? Is there a missing
It
ayah?
doesn't matter who speaks.
Exactly.
Is there an extra ayah?
Suddenly it doesn't matter who speaks.
it's
Why
important.
you just call me one-to-one?
Because we
Sir, I need
have
conversation if you
look,
want.
look,
When I
we
finish with
have
him-
demonstrated
when I finish
to
with him,
you,
I'm talking.
and you keep on
When I finish
regurgitating
with him,
the same
Pause.
thing again and again.
Excuse me.
So, what we would like to know, with all
Imad.
no disrespect, my brother, this Quran, the Mus'haf that you have, let's settle this properly.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking you.
If
What
you
is the
can
difference?
provide
Right,
one
exactly.
ayah which is not present there and present in Hafs, or one ayah which is absent and vice versa.
Sir,
Let's deal with that.
I don't think you've been listening.
Let's cut the chase and talk about it.
Can you please be respectful to your Canadian brother? Especially I was asked to debate with him. Can you please be respectful and then give his time to him?
Cut the
When I
chase.
finish with him,
Cut the chase.
I'll come to you, sir.
No,
Don't
we have
lie.
spoken before, but you keep on repeating this same thing over and over and over again.
I'm
So that's
listening,
why,
I'm listening.
with all humble respect to you, my brother,
That's why-
we are going to ask this hate preacher one single question. Do you have any evidence that this Quran has one ayah
I'm waiting for
which
him to
is
stop.
more than what we have in Hafs, or less than what we have
So
in
maybe
Hafs?
Imad can pose the same question in his 2 minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
So Brother Imad
All
can
right,
pose
just
the same
start
question.
again.
Ma'am, he'll resume with me. Okay.
Okay, can you
Keep
start
on
it
going
again?
around the bushes all the
I
time.
apologize.
Be straight and let's deal with it
If you
properly.
was a Christian,
Okay.
you'd be saying, "Oh, why are you interrupting me?" I'm not saying anything. I can say a lot of things. I'm not saying anything. But this guy comes in and talks.
Okay, let's start again. All right, so my question is what I asked you earlier. What is the difference between this Quran, okay, and the Qurans that we recite?
Be specific, brother.
Be-
Talk about the ayah.
Come on. I mean, that particular surah, that particular ayah that you pasted over there, what is the difference between that and the Quran that I read, that he reads, that anybody else reads? Can you tell me? Can you get into more specifics, please? And again, you did not answer my question. She's completely ignoring the question about Matthew's zombies. Matthew said that many, many people rose out from the dead in broad daylight in Jerusalem. There's not a single historical record for this. This is the greatest miracle of the Bible. It is not the death and the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus. It is the fact that so many people have witnessed all these zombies rising and walking through the streets of Jerusalem, and people are recognizing them, and the greatest miracle that nobody has recorded this. Can anybody find an explanation for this? Can anybody find an explanation for why Matthew says that Jesus was born, okay, during the
Your time is up. So, hold on.
yeah, okay.
So,
All right, let's go.
here's the thing.
So answer the question I asked you.
Oh, awesome.
Cut the
Muslims
chase.
cannot just control themselves. It is my turn. I listen to you well, and I would encourage you to please listen to me well.
I'm
as
listening,
well.
I'm listening,
So,
I'm listening.
Here's the thing. How many times I ask my same questions, and still there is no answer to my questions? A Muslim man comes from Canada, does not even know what is the difference between Khalat's Quran and Hafs Quran. Can you please just tell me, why do you follow the Hafs Quran today? Why do you recite the Hafs Quran? Can you please tell me why Surah 9 verse 128 and 129 is not the same in the current Quran I am reading? Can you please just tell me what is the version of the Surah 25 has been recited in the presence of Muhammad and Muhammad said they were okay? If they were okay, according to Islamic tradition, Muhammad made a deal with Allah through an angel, and then those versions of the Surah 25 is given to Muhammad. So
Historical accuracy.
if it was given to Muhammad, with the angel having kind to the Muhammad, why did Uthman discredit those 7 Arabs and then put them in one harf? I showed you one of the earliest manuscripts which doesn't have the consonantal dots. How come in that time they had the dialects, sir? Can you please explain that to me? And also, let me give you some examples from this Quran, which is disagreeing with Hafs Quran in 5,000 different verses. 5,000 different verses.
Okay.
It's very simple. You're talking about Hafs and Warsh. Warsh is reading with the sentence of the Ahkam, and Warsh is taking the Hafs is talking like 7 different verses. Read the Quran.
And there is no difference in meaning.
And it must have to do with orthographic.
There is no difference in meaning.
It's no different in meaning.
None. No.
But the Hafs is Hafs, Warsh is Warsh.
Sir, can you please
Yeah.
start your time?
There is no different meaning.
Huh?
The Quran is one.
Yeah, exactly.
Hold on. Sir, it's your turn. Can you please start your turn? I'm not going to be here for whole
We want an ayah present or absent from any of the Quranic mushafs.
Okay,
He
so
needs to provide that. Let's not beat around the bush. Let's provide, if you're able to. I know you're not able to. I know you're going to chicken out every single time I speak to you. So this is a challenge, Hatun, on record. With all respect to you, brother, I'm interrupting your time, but I'm asking you officially, challenging you and your lot. Provide one example of an ayah between the 26 so-called Qur'ans that are absent in one and present in another. An ayah. Unless you do that, then you should stop talking this kind of things you're talking. You all need to know how to talk about evidence. So, are you going to provide to us an ayah difference, present or absent?
Sir, just a moment, sir, hold on. Sir, this is not acceptable right now. Your brother already stepped in and then spoke behalf of you, and your other brother is stepping in.
I'm putting it straight to you.
but you're still that doesn't detract from the fact that you didn't answer my question. Let's get down. Let's stop beating around the bush. You didn't answer my question. What is the extra ayah in the Quran? What is the missing ayah in the Quran?
Thank you.
You know, and what is the difference in meaning? Okay, so for example, in the Hafs Quran.
Why didn't you say
Wait,
that?
it's
It was my turn.
We were quiet when it's.
okay. So in the Hafs version, okay, when we recite Surah Al-Fatiha, we say Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin. In the Warsh, Maliki Yawmiddin. Tell me what is the difference? What is the difference in the two?
Where is the ayah absent or present?
Yeah, that's the meat of the question, of the issue. What is the message? Okay, so you have Hafs and you have Warsh, okay? Well, Hafs Quran and a Warsh Quran. What is the ayah that is missing from the Warsh Quran that you can find in the Hafs Quran?
Or Khalad ones?
And what is the extra ayah that you can find in the Hafs Quran that you cannot find in the Warsh Quran? Can I get an answer to that? And of course, I don't have enough time to hammer my question about the Bible. The question about Matthew's zombies has not been answered. I want a straight answer. Why was this such a mighty miracle not recorded, attested by any contemporary witness?
Including Mark and Luke and John.
Yeah, you know.
Very simple question.
Yeah, it's a very simple question. I want an answer. Why is there no?
Why not gonna look to translation? The translation of the Quran every.
Can you tell me why there is no record of Matthew's the resurrection? Yeah, my time's up.
It's amazing that even though your brothers helped you, you failed to answer my questions.
Or so you say. Okay.
And still, sir, I'm
She
still,
won't find Matthew's
sir,
zombies in those variants of the Quran.
I'm having this.
You have your time uninterrupted.
Yeah, but let him to listen to me.
I'm listening. I'm listening.
Because he's not listening. He's not answering
We're waiting
my
for the answer.
question.
We're waiting for the answer.
Questions are repeating again. There is no answer. Why Surah 9 verse 128 and 129 is not exactly the same?
Well, what's the difference? What is the difference between the two? I'm asking you. No, you're challenging us. You're making a claim. You're saying there's a difference. If you're making...
It's my turn. Open the Sahih Bukhari 509 and open the Quran, Surah 9. You will see the differences. You will see the differences. They are different. Can you please tell me again regarding the page? What are the versions of the Surah 25 Muhammad recited? It looks like I have to give up on you since you failed to respond any of my basic questions. So, you didn't answer today. Why do you follow a Quran which was given birth around 9th century, 800s, Hafs Quran? Can you please give me your sources? Why did you pick the Hafs Quran over Warsh Quran? Why did you pick the Hafs Quran versus Qalun's Quran? Also, let the sorry, it's my turn.
I can read for you.
Wonderful Muslim brothers. Surah 5 verse 6.
HATUN, don't blame everyone.
In Hafs Quran it's Lamastun. In Khalaf Quran it is Lamastun. What is
exactly the same to me.
They are sound is exactly the same, isn't it? But one of them is touched by handling, other one is touched in a sexual sense. So, since both of them applies in your practical daily life as a Muslim, which one do you follow? Which one do you follow? Sir, watch out your boundaries, please. Please answer my question, which I ask you maybe 10 questions, 10 times, no answer, and respond to this one.
Look, the reason I follow... Okay, first of all, we don't follow versions of the Quran, okay? We recite versions of the Quran, we hear recitations of versions of the Quran. I happen to come from South Asia. Our tradition is Hafs. But if I happen to go to North Africa, I'll pray behind
we pray
no problem at all. And so many times I've prayed behind imams who say Maliki Yawmiddin. They don't say Maliki Yawmiddin. I know, this is not a different Quran.
Maliki is Hafs.
Yeah, it's a simple as that. So the differences that she's pointing to are irrelevant, they're trivial, they're nonsensical. Unlike the discrepancies that you find in the Bible. Unlike the historical nonsense that you find in the Okay, again, explain to me, Matthew, the Gospel of Matthew says, wait a minute, both Matthew, listen to this carefully, both Matthew and Luke, they say, that Jesus was born when Herod was the king of Israel, correct? Right. But Luke says that when Mary was pregnant and she moved from Nazareth to Bethlehem, it happened in the year of the census of Quirinius. Quirinius was the governor of Syria at that time. He did not become governor of Syria until after Herod died. After Herod died, he was succeeded by Herod Archelaus, and 6 years after that, the Romans annexed Judea, and the Quirinius became the governor, and then he instituted a census. So we're looking at a historical contradiction, my friends, a gap of 10 years, a decade. None of this has been explained. There's no satisfactory explanation for this.
One from the zombies in the
What chapter, what verse?
Okay, so read the nativity. Read the nativity that is recorded by Matthew and by Luke. Okay.
Your time is up now.
So, failed to answer. That's what you can say. You failed to answer. You failed to answer. You did not answer my question.
Even Muslims know that because I asked questions 10 times. I asked the questions 10 times.
I did answer you,
no
though.
answer to my questions. No answer answer to my question.
Excuse me, did I answer her question or not?
I never answered. Sir, don't lie. Don't lie. You are recorded. Don't lie. Did I ask you any questions regarding what is the variations in the Surah 1? No, I didn't ask you that question. I asked you, who are the people who make that decision that Surah 1 is supposed to be part of the Quran? You did not answer that question. So, Surah 9, verse 128 and 129. Just open your hadith, open your Quran, put them together, you will see they are not the same.
Okay.
Why not? Why not? So,
Because the differences aren't important. I also already answered that.
Regarding the Surah 5 verse 6, you did not even mention that. You start talking about the Malik versus Malik. I am not talking about that. I am not talking about that. If you listen to me, you will know what I am talking about. If you just waste your time calling people names. And it is the same gentleman who came and attacked me.
false Quran at your hand. False Quran in your hand.
Regarding the Matthew, I respond to that question regarding.
Okay, let's hear her answer about Matthew.
History of the crucifixion event written by historians and written in the Bible. And written in the Bible. Written by the historians. Yet you deny that.
I already answered that.
Why are you bothered that much that how many people who are resurrected from that is not in the historical account? Why do you bother that? I really don't know if historians mention that or not. I don't have any name who I can give it to you. But my question is, why do you question that part? With knowing there are the historical events made into the Quran, unhistorical events made into the Quran, yet Quran failed to mention that. For example, you talked about the dates and the places and the persons. Mecca wasn't even exist in the time of Muhammad. How are you going to do that? 120 years of gap, 110 years of gap.
Come on, HATUN.
But that's not the topic. So, my question still stands. Surah 9, Surah 5, and the states.
It's in the Bible, Mecca.
I'm sorry, that is an absolute lie.
You're a liar.
Mecca did exist during the time of the Prophet. So if she denies the existence of Mecca, why does she not deny the existence of the Prophet Muhammad himself? You know, let's go that far. Anyway, okay, well, you get your turn. Okay, hold on a second.
She's horrible. I bet you don't even know.
Okay. Okay.
Different halves and words. That's what she said to me.
Mecca existed in time Muhammad.
No, it's not from
Okay.
Muhammad. It's from Ibrahim. From Adam.
Okay, so her first objection, I already answered that. Okay, she said, why are we?
7 years ago.
Okay, why? So she asked, why do we deny the historicity of the crucifixion of Jesus when it has been attested by many secular authors? Wasn't that your question? Why do we deny the crucifixion of Jesus, right, when other contemporary authors have attested to it? Isn't that what you're trying to say? All right, and I already answered it. I told you, because you're only giving part of the Quranic version. The Quran does not just say that Jesus was not killed or crucified. He also says, وَلَكِنْ شُبِّهَ لَهُمْ. In other words, it was made to appear to them so. So if it was made to appear to them so the contemporary historical record would not be different. So whether Jesus was crucified or a man resembling Jesus was crucified, the historical record would be the same. You would not expect a historian to say, oh, you know what, they say Jesus was crucified, but it wasn't Jesus, it was somebody resembling him. How would you expect a witness or a historian to know something like that? So the question is ridiculous. You know, it's completely ridiculous, and I've answered that. But somehow it went over her head. Okay? It was made to appear to them so. That's all it means.
Has she answered your question about an extra ayah present or absent in any of the Qurans?
Well, she hasn't. No, she hasn't.
I can guarantee she would fail.
She won't find a single one.
It's my turn,
Yeah,
sir.
when she grows old,
Yeah,
gray
go ahead.
hair.
Ask her why she doesn't follow the Codex Sinaiticus that she brought up.
An additional question.
All
Let's go through every single one of them.
So, here's the thing. I don't know. Here's the
Horrible,
thing.
nasty woman. That's what you are.
Okay, we don't need to get ad hominem, brother. Come on, let's keep it civil.
I am very much loved by Muslims because I am asking asking questions that even over 10 times a Muslim cannot answer the question. That's why Muslims love to call me names. They love to do all the other things.
I didn't call you any names. I'm sorry.
My question still stands and no answer. Can you please respond to Surah 5 verse 6? Can you please respond to Surah 9 verse 128 and 129? Can you please respond Surah 33 verse 23? Can you please respond Surah 25? Can you please respond where is the Quran of Abu Bakr? Where is the Quran of Uthman? Can you please respond why Muslims did the Buddha in the time of Uthman and Abu Bakr? Sorry, in the time of Abu Bakr. Can you please tell me why did you pick the Hafs Quran, which does not go back to Muhammad in historical manuscripts? And also, can you just tell me how do you pick the Surah 5 verse 6 regarding the contact with the woman in sexual sense or in just handshake? Can you please comment on that? You did not talk about how the dialects end up in the Quran, end up in the time of Muhammad, while they were not dogs. So all my questions are still stands, and in somehow sadly there is no answer. When there is no answer, what happens? Muslims attacks the Bible. That's the only thing Muslims can do. Or other option is just attacking the other people in a personal sense. Awesome.
So this is a clear case of the pot calling the kettle black, or is it the other way around? I can't remember. So you cannot answer the questions that I put forth. Okay, well, let's not go into that. So the first question was what? Surah 5? Let me see it.
Verse 29.
Huh?
They're all laminated. They create Islam so much.
Lamastum wa lamastum. You touched in a sexual sense, and each touched or handled, just physically handled, right? Okay, so even no matter which version you follow, the end result is the same. So if you sexually touch a woman, okay, your wudu breaks. It's as simple as that. So,
and the next one I'm not going to do.
Stop the clock then. What's going on?
But where is the major deviation here? Where is the extra sentence in one version? Where is the missing sentence in the other version? Can anybody tell me that? She hasn't answered that yet. Again, I'm going to bring up the Quranian census, okay, and I'm going to bring up Matthew's zombies. She has not answered my questions yet. Why is there no contemporary record of this? Okay, can anybody, any Christian in this audience, answer that? Why is there no historical record? Probably because, what's that?
You are debating with me, not the Christians in audience.
Okay, well, I'm asking you now, and you haven't answered me yet. Why? So because you answered my question with another question. That's not the proper way to do it. I'm asking you, why is there no historical record of the zombies that are recorded by Matthew as having been resurrected in Jerusalem and seen by so many people in broad daylight? Why is there no answer to that? Why is there no historical record of that? Why is there a 10-year chronological discrepancy between the birth of Jesus recorded in Luke and the birth of Jesus recorded in Matthew? If you accept...
Time is up. Thank you. So, here's the thing. Questions have been asked. Sir, don't do that. That's just ugly.
He doesn't have the Quran.
He's capable to.
Wash your feet or wipe your feet.
Use the brain by God given to him. Here's the thing. My questions in somehow is not answered. Because you failed to answer any of my questions, I ask you lots of times, and lots of times. Here's the list to practice. I know in Islam you do not shake my hand. Sir, can you shake my hand?
No.
Brother, can you shake my hand? Okay. If he was Muslim, does he need to go pray? Can he go pray like this or not, sir?
If he did, no. In my opinion, he doesn't have to. It doesn't break his wudu.
Okay. It doesn't break his wudu.
No.
Okay. Let's say, sake of the argument, I had a sex with him. Does he have to?
Yes, of course.
Does it break his wudu or
It
not?
does break his wudu.
So, which Quran do you follow? One of them is he has to go sexual touching.
Okay.
Other one is the handle. Which one?
Okay.
So,
But the handle there.
Did you see there are different?
Yeah. No, this is not. Okay. No, this is. No. No. There isn't.
Can you please tell me where is the Surah 115 and 116? Can you please answer my basic questions regarding the Surah 25? Can you please answer me my basic questions regarding Surah 9 verse 128?
Surah 115 and 116.
Can you please answer my basic questions regarding the Surah 33 verse 23? Can you please answer my basic questions? Why Quran is being corrupted by Muslims and for Muslims? Why do you not follow the Qaf version and follow the Hafs version?
I follow both versions.
Black
Why
and
do
white.
you follow the
You will
Hafs
see.
version?
Because
Sorry,
she
why do you
doesn't
follow the
engage,
Hafs version?
I will lecture on my ladder.
Also,
Expose and refute and debunk all these things that she's coming up with. Last time when I asked her examples of example, she kept running away. Oh, tell me the dates of this and that. You know, if you are
So the answer to your question is we follow both versions because there's no major difference between them. But they both mean the same thing.
Don't worry.
Okay, but that's the way you're interpreting it. In English, for example, when you say in the Bible it says no, the word no, what does it mean?
I ask you a very simple question. Does it
Answer my question.
No.
What does the word no mean in the Bible?
Does it break your voodoo or not? In one of them it does not break the voodoo. In other one it breaks the voodoo. That's a very simple question. Application is very different. I'll give you
In Arabic, in the Arabic language, there is something called figure of speech, just like in any other language. So in this context, touching a woman means touching her sexually. Just like in the Bible, when it says Joseph did not know her, Joseph did not know Mary, okay, until she was conceived of the Holy Spirit. Know here does not mean knowledge. It means to know her sexually. It's a figure of speech. So in the Quran, when it says lamastum, it means, or lamastum, okay? All right, in one sense, in one version, what it is, it's using a literal expression, but using it figuratively. In the other one, it is using it, it's very, very explicitly as a sexual. No, I don't know why you're laughing about this. Did Joseph know Mary well, what does that mean? Joseph did not know Mary until she was conceived by the Holy Spirit. What does that mean? I'm not saying there's a contradiction. All I'm saying is, what does that mean? What does the Bible mean by that? Joseph did not know Mary. What does that mean? It means he didn't recognize her.
Okay,
He didn't know her eyes.
It's
He
my
didn't.
turn, so it's
Okay,
my
all
turn.
right.
It is sad, and sad. No answer to any of my questions.
So did you get an ayah? Yes.
One of them.
Did you get an extra ayah?
No, not yet.
Oh, not yet.
It's talking about the
Extra ayah. Do you know what ayah means? A verse.
A few months.
A verse difference.
La mastum, it can imply sexual contact, doesn't have to mean sexual
Sir,
contact.
are you going to listen?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay, I'm listening. All right.
Did
Go
we
ahead,
get
go
an extra ayah present or absent, any of them? Yeah.
So, my questions just failing to answer. It is very sad day for Islam.
Okay.
It is very sad day for Muslims because, as Muslims says, yes, they are different. In one of the occasion, your voodoo doesn't break. In other occasion, your voodoo does break. But when it ends up in two different Qurans, and then answer is,
I answer all of them.
It's
Are you happy?
fine. Oh, it's all fine.
We follow both of them.
Every single one by
You
one.
We follow both of them. Yes, we do.
Can you follow me?
We follow one literally and we follow the one figuratively. It's as simple as that.
Just went
It is
home.
the same verse. In one of them, in somehow man writes in literal form, in other one is the figurative form. That is the miracle of Islam. Just destroying the holy book of Muslims. That is just amazing.
Like Joseph knowing Mary, right? Yeah, very similar.
Let me give you another example.
So did Joseph know Mary?
It's my turn. Can you please tell me Surah 3 verse 146? Your current Quran says Atala, fault, and other Quran says were killed. Can you just tell me which one is the correct one? There are two different things. You go to war, you fight, you come back, you can be still alive. Regarding the Joseph knew Mary or not, sorry, that context. Yes, it talks about Joseph didn't know her in a sexual sense. They did not.
Why do you say
have
that?
sex yet.
Who gives you the authority to say
They did
that?
not have sex yet. But I don't have any manuscripts which tells me Joseph didn't know her by the way, I'm from village in Pakistan. You live in village in Jerusalem. That's not that context. I don't have any manuscripts which tells me, oh, Joseph came from Pakistan. I don't have any verses which says, manuscripts which says Joseph come from Jerusalem.
Time.
Okay, so that's not the answer to my question.
You're brother too mild. I'm sorry to say that. With people like this kind of hate preachers,
Yeah.
you have to really hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. No, but I know she's not going to answer my question. She's not going to answer my question. There's no point in even asking her. I asked her, okay, is there an extra verse? Is an extra verse, or is there a missing verse? She couldn't answer. She couldn't bring one, right? Now the differences she's bringing are irrelevant. They're completely irrelevant. Because the lamastum and lamastum difference, okay, in one version we follow the thing literally. In other words, do not know a woman sexually. In the other one, we follow it as we understand that there's a figure of speech involved. When God is saying, do not touch a woman, okay, when you touch a woman, your wudu breaks, he means to touch her sexually. Now the other thing is, when we talked about Joseph knowing Mary, okay, she thinks that it means that Joseph did not know her sexually. My question is, who gives you the authority to say that? Because the words literally say he did not know her. Do you see where I'm going from here? Well, of course, because you've got a mental block, somewhere. Does everybody understand where I'm going?
Yeah.
Joseph, right, so Joseph did not know Mary. She says that he did not know her sexually. What gives her the authority to say that? Because literally it says he did not know her. To know literally does not mean to sexually know somebody. To know here means to have knowledge of somebody. So why does she not take that version over the one she prefers, which is sexually? I'd like an answer for that. Now what was that? Qatila wa qutila? What is the surah and what is the verse? Huh?
3146.
Well, I need to read it.
Three, 146.
Yeah. No, never mind. My time's up now. Anyway. Go ahead.
Can you please provide the manuscripts for me? In one of the Greek manuscripts, it says Joseph never met Mary in his life, and other manuscripts which says, oh, they did only thing they knew each other. So I don't have two different Bibles, which gives me the two different impressions. But you've got two different Qurans. Actually, there are
thousands.
You've got two different Qurans, and
No, we haven't.
implications
There's one
there
Quran.
are different.
There's
Here's
one
the thing.
Quran.
Actually, there are 31 different Arabic
One
Qurans.
Quran.
I'm not going to go to
Yeah,
that.
they've got a laminated piece of paper.
Here's the thing.
That's the evidence. Okay,
Here's
just
the thing.
see the
Can you
evidence.
pause my time? Can you
One
pause my
Quran.
what's the
another
different
one you
version of
point
it?
out, which is a false one.
Brother, let us speak. Let us speak.
So, can you just tell me, people who follow the Khalaf reading, do they do voodoo? Do they do voodoo?
Voodoo?
So, do they do voodoo
Yeah,
after they do handshake, or they do voodoo after they have sex? There are 1.8 billion Muslims. So, 1.8 million Muslims.
Okay.
Application is
Billion.
different.
Billion.
Application
Billion.
is different.
1.8 billion. Get it into your thick head.
That's right. Be nice.
Billion.
Be nice.
Get into your head.
Be nice,
1.8
come on.
billion. I'm being nice.
Yeah,
I'm being nice. This is a high part. I can talk.
be cordial.
I am amazed that still it's been, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes we've been debating here. No one
Answer the question
there is
either.
no answer to my
Look at that.
questions
Make it
regarding the
yourself good.
Surah 9. There is no answer to my questions regarding the Surah 33. There is no answer to the question for the Surah 115, 116. There is no answer to my questions regarding the Hajj. In somehow,
1.8 billion Muslims have answered your question.
No answer.
La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah.
That's
Allahu
what happens.
Akbar.
Lovely Muslims.
You understand?
Lovely
Lovely.
Muslims.
Subhanallah.
Just go
In the
distract by Islam,
original manuscript,
practice that.
so the text
That's
is the same.
amazing.
It's the
That's
same
amazing.
one
So,
text.
can you
وكأي من
please
نبي
respond to Surah
قتل
5
معه
verse 6?
أو قاتل معه ربينيون كثير.
It means the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same single text. So when they talk about two different texts, this is something that I emphasized on the last 4 examples I went with her, but she would never learn.
And the other thing is, if she knew
We will
Arabic,
go through every 71 examples that we have and demonstrate to you.
This is the
they're
original
on the
manuscript.
same
My time, sir,
text.
still. It's my time still. I've got 2 more seconds. Even though Muslim's brother tried to help him, he's just taking my seconds.
قاتل معه
Awesome.
وقتل معه means exactly the same thing. Again, she's proved my point. There is no meaning and difference. قاتل معه ربيون وكثير وقتل معه ربيون كثير means exactly the same thing. They're not mutually exclusive.
They're
not.
different.
They're
Can
slight.
you just tell me
So
why
this-
it is not the kiss, for example?
Can you point is different?
Can you speak Arabic?
Many prophets fought,
Yeah.
and also it can be many prophets were killed. I mean, you shouldn't bring that up, though.
It could be even kiss. It could even be elephant. It could be lots of other
Yeah,
things.
especially when you don't know Arabic. Yeah.
How do you know it's different?
With your zero knowledge of Arabic language, it could be an elephant.
Where is that? Where is that?
If people like
Is it
yourself,
here? Is it here?
with zero knowledge of Arabic language, read the Quranic text, you could read an elephant.
Qatala here, but it can be kutila without
Yeah.
vowels.
Has been said. It could be before. It could be lots of other things.
Really,
So,
I challenge you to provide
I would
an
never
Arabic
come.
scholar who's
I
not a
would-
Muslim
Listen to him.
who
I
reads
can
an elephant
say
into this verse
Muslims are
or a kiss
just-
into this verse. I challenge you right now.
I can just say
One
Muslims are
Arabic
so
scholar on
desperate.
planet Earth that can read this as an
Awesome.
elephant.
Awesome. Awesome.
Brother, sorry to interrupt again.
Jay.
I challenge you
My
again here.
boyfriend.
Bring an Arabic scholar on planet Earth who's not a Muslim
sir,
that can
I'm
read
gonna move from the
within this
conversation very
ayah
soon
an elephant.
Because your brothers, which you told me, especially I think it was your idea, when people come and step
Oh, we'll kill him.
Okay, well, it's paused, so it doesn't make a
People like
difference.
yourself, why
It's
don't we
paused.
give
You've got,
And you
you've
were
got time.
Why
Look.
must I listen to you?
Right, this is
All
right.
right.
Okay, should I pause it again? Shall I pause it again?
Like
It was
yourself.
your
It's paused
turn.
right now.
It is your turn, and I would expect answer to my question.
whose turn
I
is it?
said. I said.
I think it's still your
an
turn.
Arabic
He paused
scholar
it. No, no, no.
could be
It's your
Christian,
turn. No, he paused
could
it.
be one of your
All this time it was paused.
Okay,
That's
it's my
why.
turn.
Okay, keep going.
Bring
So
something
let us
like
speak. Let us speak.
Can they read
Lovely
into this an
Muslims,
elephant?
do not
Why the
even
Muslims?
let me to
Don't say why
speak.
the Muslims.
Amazing.
Because you got your brother over there.
Do not even let me to
Don't say why the
speak.
Muslims.
Amazing.
I'm going to let you continue because, as you can see, my frustration with distortions, deceptions, and lies of people who have no knowledge of the Arabic language and they want to talk about it. You know what? I officially invite you to discuss with me this subject, every single example. Are you listening?
When you talk to them,
Are you listening?
They
Yeah?
cannot
Every single
defend
example.
it. They cannot defend
Listen,
it. So it
last
cannot
time I
become
gave her the
very
opportunity.
personal.
But somehow she managed to walk
Sir,
away home.
Can you please shush that I can
No, I'm
finish
not
my
going to shush.
statement?
I want you to listen. I am
Sir,
officially
it's not gonna
inviting
go
you to
anywhere.
this discussion.
Okay, go on, go on, go on.
Whereby
Can you please
we will talk about
It's paused, it's
every
paused.
single
It
thing
doesn't
that
matter.
you
Can
want
you
to talk
please tell
about
your brother
on the
to step
issue
back
of
so
the
we can have a
preservation of the
proper
Quran.
debate?
Brother Mansour.
God give you brain to use it.
Brother Mansour.
So I'll let you now continue, brother.
Thank you.
If she's willing, let me know. We will set this up properly.
We'll let you know.
Are you willing to accept the challenge? That's very rude.
All right, start
So I'll
again.
perform on my challenge. Let's see whether you're willing to engage with someone who is going to debunk your nonsense.
Are you going to talk about the sheep?
Okay.
You're
I'm giving you an answer.
Keep going. It's your turn to speak.
Here's the thing.
Did she not read that? Bit in the
For
Bible? A woman should be seen and
1400
not
years.
heard. A woman should be seen and not
For
heard.
1400 years,
Here are the cameras here. Cameras here.
Muslims claim that not even a dot change in the Quran. Then I give them example. What happens? Other people steps in.
Who said that?
The Muslim I am debating, and on the background, another lovely Muslim just steps in and puts people in. My question still stands out. Explain me Surah 25.
Give him time, give him
What are
time.
the versions? Surah 9, what are the versions?
Give him time, give him time.
You should accept the challenge.
Okay, so now, first of
Accept the challenge.
all, I'd like to know which Muslim scholar claimed that not one dot has changed from the Quran. Can you name me one?
You come here. And
A scholar.
You ask, you're going to whip it. And they say you're the wrong person. You're going to the wrong religion.
Okay.
Sorry,
Because as an orthographic phenomenon, it's a written thing, it wasn't there. So
Okay. Secondly, it's amazing that the two original questions, because the original point here was the historical accuracy of the Quran versus the Bible, right? So I mentioned two historical incidents that are recorded in the Bible and nowhere else. One of them carry a blatant contradiction. Jesus was either born after Publius Sulpicius Quirinius was made governor of Judea or of Syria, and the other one says that he was born when Herod was king of Jerusalem. These cannot be mutually, what is the correct word? These cannot be mutually reconciled because there's a 10-year gap, a full decade between these two events. After Herod died, he was succeeded by his son Herod Archelaus, who reigned for 6 years. He was recalled by the Romans, and the Romans annexed Judea and made it a province. After that, they sent the governor of Syria, Publius Sulpicius Quirinius. He instituted a census, okay, in Judea, and that's when, according to Luke, Mary moved from Nazareth to Bethlehem to have the child. Okay, so this could not have happened during the reign of Herod. But Herod had been dead for 10 years. This is a historical, blatantly contradictory event that's recorded in the Bible, and nobody has provided an answer for it to this day.
And please at least try to respond to that one in your 2 minutes. At least try to just respond to that.
And then, yes.
Where is it?
Well, you should know your.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
Press her to answer it.
Okay.
No, she's not going to answer it. I know she's not going to answer it because there is no answer.
My question still
The-
stands. Here's
The nativity
it's my
scene
turn. Sir,
in Luke
sir,
and the
it's
one.
my
It's
turn.
your friend who's
Sir,
asking me.
It's my turn.
Your
Sorry.
buddy's asking me. I'm answering
I
him.
don't care, sir. It was your.
But he's asking me which verse. Okay.
So please ask him to be quiet.
All right. So, just to answer briefly, the nativity scene in Matthew and the nativity scene in Luke. Read them and try to reconcile them.
You don't know the chapter and verse. You say nativity scene.
Well, I mean, show me a Bible and I'll find it for you. Anybody have a Bible here?
My time now. Sir, can I have
Okay.
my time
All right.
in a respectful manner by Muslims, please? I would appreciate that. I know Quran doesn't teach you very nice things about. Quran doesn't teach you very nice things about how to treat the non-Muslim woman. But I would appreciate that as we exercise our freedom of speech at Speaker Scholars.
Stick to the topic.
So, I know, stick to the topic, amazing. Here are the scholars who claims Quran has been perfect. And for centuries, I am sure you are
Dots.
one
You
of
said
them.
dots.
Yeah, let's read it. Abdullah Yusuf Ali. I am sure you all know him.
He's not a scholar.
He is the one
He's not a scholar.
who created the Quran for you. Okay?
He's not a scholar. I asked for a scholar.
So, well, that has been preserved both in memory and in writing. That the Arabic text we have today is identical to the text as it was revealed to the Prophet. Not even a single letter has yielded to corruption. Abu Dabadi, okay?
Corruption. What does it say?
You were talking about dots.
Not even a dot change. Not not even a dot change.
Who said that? Who is this?
Basic principle.
Who said this?
Abu Dabadi.
Who is this guy?
Muhammad Ali. Not even a very critical point.
Who's Abu Dabadi?
Title change by Al-Jad Ajiola. So there are the Muslims.
Even you don't know who they are.
I don't know who they are.
We don't know who they are.
Amazing. Muslims don't even hear those people.
No, because they're not scholars.
Questions. Please answer my questions regarding the Quran.
Is she done? Okay. So she brings three people who we don't even recognize. Or actually, we recognize one of them, and he's not even a scholar. He's just a translator of the Quran, Abdullah Yusuf Ali. Okay. So I'm sorry, that's not any convincing evidence whatsoever. Secondly, again, she hasn't answered my question because there is no answer to it. All right. There's a 10-year gap between the birth of Jesus recorded in the Gospel of Luke and the one recorded in the Gospel of Matthew. A 10-year gap that cannot be reconciled. Number one. And number two, a historical event of such magnitude, many people, okay, not thousands maybe, but many people rose from the dead in Jerusalem in broad daylight. They showed themselves before people in Jerusalem, and they were recognized by the relatives and by their friends, whoever they were, and nobody left a single historical record. And I cannot believe that such an event would. And the other thing is, why is only Matthew the only one recording this event? Why did John not record it? Why did Luke not record it? Why did Mark not record it? Because this is a greater miracle than even the resurrection of Jesus. Because Jesus is one man. These are many people who were resurrected in Jerusalem and made themselves appear before the public. And yet Matthew is the only one who recorded it. Mark did not record it. John did not record it. Luke did not record it. Josephus did not record it. Philo of Alexandria did not record it. Not a single secular or non-secular source, except for Matthew, has witnessed this event. Is there an answer to this? I mean, she can stay here till the cows come home. There's not an answer to this. She will never come up with an answer to this. And I leave the mic to her.
Not true.
What's not true?
So, I am amazed. Even at Speaker's Corner, Muslims are discrediting the Muslim scholars. Read it, his biography. Yusuf Ali is a scholar. Let me read it for you, sir. Abdullah Yusuf Ali. FRSN was a British Indian barrister and a scholar who read a number of books about Islam.
And she's quoting from Wikipedia.
So he's a lawyer.
Sheikh Google.
A lawyer becomes an expert.
Yeah, exactly.
Since we just proved that Yusuf Ali is a Muslim scholar, it is amazing that you discredit. Here's the thing. I'm sorry, I forgot to respond to your comments previously. 2017, Muslim makes a claim that Bible cannot be reliable. Last time when I checked, you weren't God, sir. God doesn't say that Bible is not reliable. Allah doesn't say that. Muhammad doesn't say that. Quran doesn't say that. Who do you think you are? You are saying me today Bible is not reliable.
Well, God doesn't have to say it. God doesn't have to say that the trees are green either. It's self-evident.
Quran came to confirm the previous revelation. Quran came to confirm the previous revelation.
He's changing tack now.
Came to confirm the previous revelation.
He's changing tactics.
Continue the other half.
Yet.
Now recite to the other half.
You are just discrediting that. So,
came to confirm the revelation and then what?
That today you are standing at
Finish the other half
and
of the verse.
saying you know better than your Allah, you know better than Muhammad, and you know better than Quran. I am amazed.
They're getting so good in half-truths and half-lies.
My question still stands.
And it's an evasion anyway.
It's been like
Not answering my question.
No, that's long, like, too much. But it's been over 20 times, and my question still stands. Please please answer the question.
Hatun, you haven't
Surah
answered more than
5,
one question.
verse 6. They are different.
Is this how you
Surah
answer
3,
a
verse
question? Answer only
146.
questions.
They are different. What happened to the Surah 115? What happened to the Surah 116? What happened?
Hatun, we're still waiting for the answer.
Okay, I'm going to direct my question to the audience now. I asked two questions. Have they been answered?
No.
Have they been answered?
No, Hatun, no.
So what were the two questions that I brought up? The chronological problem of Jesus' birth as recorded by Luke and as recorded by Matthew. Has she answered that? No. Second thing. No, well, I know because she apparently. No, I'm asking the audience. I'm asking the audience.
Sir, can you do your
Wait,
conclusion
and the second, I'm talking to all of you. And the second,
Can you do your conclusion statement and then I'll do my conclusion statement and then be done?
what's that?
Can you do your conclusion statements and then I'll do my
Okay,
conclusion and then
okay. So I'm going to do my concluding statement. Okay, the differences, quote unquote, that she mentions that are in the Quran are not important. They're irrelevant. Okay, they're trivial, and on top of everything, they are superseded by the fact that we do not rely on written tradition. We rely on oral tradition, which is sound, very authentic. If there was any difference at all, okay, from Morocco all the way to Indonesia, you would have seen some major discrepancies in the way the people recite the Quran. There are no major discrepancies. They are all trivial and irrelevant ones, okay? Second thing, I posed two questions. Number one, the historical record of the resurrection of the zombies as recorded by the Gospel of Matthew. I asked, why has this not been recorded by John or by Mark or by, who's the other fellow? Luke, okay? Or by any secular author living at that time or shortly thereafter. Nobody has recorded such a mighty event. Is there an answer for that? And I still have not received an answer to that yet. And did I mention the difference in chronology? There's a 10-year difference in chronology, a gap between the birth of Jesus as recorded by Luke and as recorded by Matthew. And this gap cannot be closed. This difference cannot be reconciled. There's only one conclusion we can come to. Luke screwed up. Okay? So, Quirinius. Okay.
Let's hope
Thank you
some
very
miracle
much.
way she answers your questions now.
So it's my turn now.
Questions are over, so.
Thank you very much for your time, sir.
Hatun, can you be kind?
You're welcome.
Speak English.
I am very, very sad.
The man from Northern India.
My
Don't be sad,
questions have
Hatun.
been asked for 20 times and there is no answer to my question. Only response comes from lovely Muslims who are just bullying another Christian woman. It's alright, it's alright. So, as Muslim Sunday Speakers Corner in 2017 judges and condemns and discredit certain part of the Bible, they go against their scripture. They know today they are making a claim that they know they are better than their creator, they know better than Muhammad, and they even know better than Quran, which is just very, very disrespectful.
Straw man argument.
When I checked you weren't God and God weren't you. Here's I asked you questions regarding the Quran, reliability of the Quran. You come back and saying, oh, it's the recitation, it's all the same, there are not big
Chronology and
differences.
zombies. 1 more minute to go before your chance is
According
over.
to Sahih Bukhari,
Chronology and
according to
zombies.
Sahih Bukhari,
55 seconds left.
It's not going to come, I know.
It's
not gonna come.
Those recitation differences, they
Chronology.
are making people to call each other kafir. So those recitations were very big deal. And people, 70 Hafiz died in the Battle of Yamama. Because of that, Muslims did something Muhammad did not do. Muslims did bidah.
30 seconds
That's
left.
why.
Zombies and chronology. Come on, hurry up.
That's why we don't have the perfect.
30 seconds to
Quran
answer your two
today.
questions.
My two questions
They
haven't been
cannot
answered yet.
trust the oral tradition because Muslims in the first 2
16
decades of
seconds left to
Islam
answer.
did
Zombies
not
and chronologies.
trust the oral tradition.
Shame on you.
And it is amazing.
8 seconds left.
Missionaries are not
Shame
even
on you,
allowed
Hatun.
to finish my
4 seconds
conclusion
left.
statement. But thank you very much for
Thank you for
going
your time.
against your
Embarrassment.
Quran and against your God. Thank you.
Hope to meet you again.
What
Take
an
care.
embarrassment.
يا لغتي عربية حسبي بأنك منطقي